Hello everyone, Bob here. In today's video, I'm going to review a remake. I'm going to look at 1990's remake of Night of the Living Dead. The film was directed by Gore master Tom Savini himself, and it stars Patricia Tallman as Barbara, Tony Todd as Ben, Tom Tolles as Harry Cooper, McKee Anderson as Helen Cooper, William Butler as Tom Bittner, Katie Finneran as Judy Rose Larson, Bill Moseley as Barbara's brother Johnny, Heather Mazer as Sarah Cooper, and Russell Streiner as Sheriff McClelland. The film itself is very, in terms of story and everything, it's very, very similar to the original. There are a few changes. Johnny and Barbara, it does start with them going to the cemetery and the zombies attack, and of course Johnny is killed. Barbara runs off, gets in the car and wrecks the car, and then she runs off to the farmhouse and meets the Coopers, and Ben shows up, and all that happens just like it does in the original. But there's a few slightly different tweaks to the story, but for the most part, all the major story beats are hit upon in this film that were in the original. One major difference in the end is that there is a survivor this time. The character of Barbara. In the original film, she kind of goes into shock and is mostly catatonic for most of the movie. In this one, she kind of fights back more and is more of your prototypical final girl. But she does survive. Ben actually turns into a zombie at the end of this one. He's wounded in a fight with Harry. And I guess the other difference in this one is that Harry actually technically survives, although in a fit of rage, Barbara shoots him. So like I say, there are a few minor story beats that are different, but for the most part, beat for beat, it is what the original is. Tom Savini said this remake was the worst nightmare of his life. He had all these ideas and things he wanted to accomplish in this film, but he constantly clashed with producers, and he said less than 40% of what he wanted to do actually ended up in the film. While the film itself is definitely more gory than the original, the special effects team decided to keep the gore toned down. Tom Savini is, after all, known as the king of splatter, and but they made the conscious decision to try to limit the amount of gore in this film out of respect for the original, because they felt like if they made it a big bloodbath, it would be disrespectful to the original. Now, with that being said, the film did have to make some numerous cuts to achieve an R rating and not be rated NC-17. The film clocked in at 88 minutes. It was made on a budget of $4.2 million and grossed at the box office $5.8 million. So it wasn't a very profitable film. At the time, horror audiences and critics were not very favorable to it. More recently, more critics have lightened up to it a little bit, but not very many people look on it too favorably even today. Personally, I think it's one of the better horror remakes out there. It's true to the original. It isn't disrespectful to the original, and it's got just enough of a alterations to it that it keeps you interested in is its own version. It isn't, like I say, yes, most of the story beats are the same, but there are enough things that are done slightly differently to keep you interested. This is actually the film that got me interested in the Living Dead series. I actually saw this one before I saw Romero's original, and it's this version that got me interested. So after this, of course, I actually saw Dawn of the Dead after this, before I saw the original. It wasn't until sometime later that I did finally see the original. At the time, it was very hard to come by. This is, you got to remember, the closest, I live an hour from the closest big video store, so it was a treat to go look at these places and to actually be able to sort through them, for them to have in stock what you're looking for. So most of the time I was limited to what like my local Walmart had on the shelf. But this is the film that got me interested in the Living Dead franchise. It's a very entertaining film. I definitely recommend it compared to a lot of the other horror remakes out there. In the end, I'm going to give this film an 8.5 out of 10. I'm sure that will meet with a lot of disapproval from some of those strong Romero purists, as well as other horror aficionados out there. But I really enjoyed this one, and I think if you sit down and watch it with an open mind and try not to compare it to the original, I think you'll end up liking it more than you think you will. Well, that's all I've got for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the content of this video. If you did, please give it a like, and please consider subscribing to this channel, and please hit that bell notification so you know when the next video is uploaded. Follow me on Facebook or Twitter. Just search for Bob the Film Guy. I try to keep everything updated there. So, for now, this is Bob signing off.